X. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the initiative order for this morning's session of Conan Waves Stained Crimson. I'm your Dungeon Master and GM. Oh, I guess not Dungeon Masters in D&D. I'm your GM, Logan, here with this wonderful crew of people to play this amazing 2d20 game by Modiphius. Before we jump into our session for this morning, I want to quickly go around the horn and introduce all of our players that are here today. We're going to start with the wonderful Zuri, Shelby.
Of course. Hey, everybody. It is Shelby, aka Wish Warlock, on all social medias. Today, I will be playing Zuri, your reputable, disreputable merchant. Pick and choose. Zuri likes to pick and choose on any given day. And that is Zuri.
All right. Next, we'll go to Fred.
Hi, I am Katie. I'm playing Fred, who is Zuri's partner in crime, partner in sales, partner in capitalism. And I never remember what my Twitter is. It is KHWalsh_.
Awesome. Next, we'll go to Andy and Asim.
You said my name 3 times. It was like Beetlejuice, and I love it. Hello, everyone. Andrew J. Landy checking in here. Pleasure, top of the morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. You're always welcome here. Playing Asim, our mercenary who was supposed to be guarding the princess, but yeah, we saw how that turned out last time. And if you didn't, make sure to catch the VOD and all the previous episodes. But again, stay tuned because there's even more hilarity to happen today on this episode of Conan.
Did you say hilarity? Really? That's where we're using to describe this now? Alright, cool. I got it. That just means
using a sailor as bait is hilarious.
I gotta do worse. And last but certainly not least, Tristan.
What's up, guys? Tristan at +1 Crafting on Instagram. Make things. I play this game. Super excited to be playing with these guys this morning, and glad they're here.
Hell yeah. And like I said, I'm Logan. I'm the GM. I'm gonna be doing Doom stuff. People who are watching, find a way to give me Doom. I don't know if you can. Send it in the mail or through sorcery if you need to. Yeah. But without further ado, we're going to get into the trailer for today's session of Conan Waves Stained Crimson. Welcome back. Where we last left off, our friends here were in a bit of a tough spot. They were fighting back pirates from the Devil's Shadow, a pirate ship ran by the pirate captain Daimos. Heavily outnumbered and outgunned, the crew of the Ebony Rose eventually was forced to surrender. Most of the crew being hurt or maimed in some way, but not like severely injured or killed outright. Deimos had given them orders to, as you found out, to preserve as much of the crew as possible. Deimos, as well as the crew, come over, search the ship, find Lady Emarena, who is quickly taken over to the Devil's Shadow to become a consort or a guest of Captain Deimos. As goods are being unloaded from the Ebony Rose onto the Devil's Shadow, you all take moments to hide what weapons you can, acquire whatever goods and trinkets and baubles you've collected on your adventures, and or help and scout out over on the Devil's Shadow, looking for weapons and gear or things that could be useful to you. In the meantime, the sorcerer comes over to the Ebony Rose, comes over to Tidus, and asks Tidus to bestow upon him a gift that he was given by the sorcerer, a necklace. Tidus, in these moments, realizing that this wasn't a boon to protect him from the sea, but rather a tool for the sorcerer to find him, smashes this necklace on the ground, destroying it, and coming under the anger of the sorcerer, who then, in the moments where the party was contemplating fighting him, summons some undead from the waters to come and restore peace and balance to the Ebony Rose. You are all, along with the crew of the Ebony Rose, stowed under, or in the hold of the ship, locked there by the grates. Seawater is thrown down and a ritual begins. In this time, Katrina, realizing that this is indeed sorcery, takes a moment to warn you all, and you all immediately jump into action, breaking free of the ship as it bursts into flame. Now, some of the crew, and this is actually, some of the crew did in fact perish as they were covered in this seawater that was then lit aflame. The Ebony Rose burning heavily, but you managed to get to the long ships and set off, creating a little flotilla between the two, and then using scraps of wood and barrels and crates, managed to make a little flotilla for those crew that couldn't fit on the two escape craft. You guys are at sea for several days. Katrina creating a kind of water reservoir from one of the barrels to ensure that you guys have fresh water, creating a couple of like tent-like gazebo areas over the two ships to allow for shade in this hot sea temperature. Oh my god, I can't even word. No, it's fine. But to get out of the heat, make sure that you guys stay cool, don't die of heat exhaustion. And Zuri, Tidus, and Asim managed to catch numerous fish, turtles, sea life, occasionally, a bird of some sort when they can, to ensure that the crew is also well fed. In the meantime, at night, there's one particular crew member who is faring less than the others. And in these moments, Zuri takes it upon themselves to attract some sharks and potentially get some cool new armor. Zuri wanted to feed the crew. So they attracted some sharks, killed the shark, and then brought it on board in the hopes that the meat would be able to sustain them for an extended period of time, with some help from Tidus. No hidden ulterior motive there. But after several days of being off at sea, you begin to see birds in the air, a sign of land, and sure enough, a small island emerges on the horizon. You'll probably get there in the next hour or so. The dawn's light is mostly crested. It's probably about an hour or so after sunrise. And how you approach this island is entirely up to the four of you. Katrina makes herself useful by going in and ensuring that parts of the watercraft that you guys are all on are secure, making sure things are kind of up to code in terms of being able to float properly. Because even though you guys did a very solid job of creating a nice little raft for the rest of the crew, again, things happen, pieces move and shift as waves and water hit into them. So having to kind of constantly keep up, do upkeep on that was one of the duties of Katrina as well, being one of the more helpful crafters. But yeah, as you now see this island on the horizon, the morning is yours.
I just look at Tidus.
Yeah, can I tell, like, looking at it, are we close enough that I can see, like, if there's a bay, if there's a, sort of a natural way to approach this island?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a sailing check.
A sailing check.
Not with, you don't get your bonus anymore.
Okay. Just feels intentional.
I mean, it is, but,
That's gonna be just one success.
One success. From what you can tell, the side of the island in which you are approaching has a shoreline. It has a coastline that you can see that extends for a couple, probably about 100 or so feet before it hits very, very dense forest. On the back side, on the westernmost side, or easternmost side, you can see that there are hillsides and mountains that are peeking up over the tree line. You can kind of see the island from where you're at is almost ovicular in shape. It curves down to the south and then up to the north. You can see two ridge lines. You can see the mountainside that is closest to you, that you would imagine would be like this western mountain, that's like southwest of where you guys are. You guys can kind of go into this little inlet that's almost right off of it. But then on the far side, you can see this second mountain. From where you're at, the only place of landing that you can really see that would be some sort of cove or inlet is in the direct kind of center of where the curve of this side of the island would be. Now, you guys can take time to do a loop around the island. You definitely have that capability. It'll take time and energy and a significant part of the morning, but you guys could definitely do that if that was something, if you wish. But from what you can see, there's only really one notable landing spot.
I would point that out to the group. It may benefit us to do a lap, check out the rest of the island, but as far as I can see, that's going to be our best landing spot.
I don't care to do the lap. So, Fred?
Yeah, I mean, can we, in terms of how everybody fared crew-wise on this journey, do we have an understanding of, like, how much energy there is to go around?
Did we all make it?
Did we all make it?
Yes, yeah.
Let's see. Do I want you to roll it, or do I want to roll it? Each of you roll a d6.
I don't trust any of my d6 right now. I rolled a 6.
6, 5, 3, so that's 11, 14. Another 3 is 17 minus 6.
Minus
So-
6.
Yeah, because
Six.
okay. So here's my thing. There are only really 18 of them to begin with, and so I had all 4 of you roll a d6, so that would have been a max of 24, if my math is right. So I did minus 6 on purpose. So that way, the max that you could have is 6 or 18.
Wait, what? Do we get an extra roll for Katrina too?
No. No. I mean, if you want a
Or
minus,
magic.
you know what? If you want a minus 12.
No.
Okay, you win. You win.
How many survived? We started with 18. Zuri made 12 of them disappear. No. You guys have
It's
now.
a lot of sharks.
You now have 12
Right.
sharks.
One boat's just
Exactly
full of
12
sharks.
sharks. Yes. The waves have been stained crimson. Thank you for coming to the show. We're done. No.
I was given an assignment.
No, I'd say
Right.
I'd say of the 18, 1 definitely died. And I'd say 6. You guys can do a good job of managing, but over several days, and like a lot of them did sustain injuries, even though, like pirates, when they're told like, hey, like don't completely kill them, just like maim or injure, will like put in a deep gash in an arm or like cut through the chest in hopes that the guy just falls down. And so like those can become infected if not treated properly, and being out in open sea under hot sun with no real way to clean the wound other than putting salt water on it, 100% you lose a few people. So I'd say you guys probably have about, of the 18 that you came on board with, you have about 11.
I guess my read on the situation then is, based off Zuri not caring, I think probably best to trust Tidus and his instinct here.
Asim, what do you think?
Also, I'm going to trust the captain. I'm from the desert. Being on the water is not exactly something I'm a fan of. So, Asim would want to just get off the boat as fast as possible, but also realizes the captain may have the best idea of where to go.
Okay. All right. So,
Fair enough. I say we make for the inlet.
I need everybody to give me a. Let's do a. What do I want you guys to do? Let's do a brawn check. Just straight brawn. No,
Oh,
we'll do
God.
that. Yeah, brawn. We'll do a brawn test.
Dang it. Is there any way to use one of our...
Actually, no, Zuri. What I want Zuri to do, Zuri, give me a discipline check. As the one person who heavily wants to get off the boat. We'll see if you have the mental fortitude to like not go crazy and just swim ashore.
That's rude. I'm not stupid. My discipline has to be the lowest. Thank God I rolled a 4, so that's one success. Oh my God.
Okay. Awesome. How'd you do?
I had 2 successes.
Okay.
It was great.
Cool.
It was great.
Fred.
That's a big fat 0.
0. Okay. And Tidus, how'd you do?
2 successes.
All right. So the good news is that even though Fred didn't get any successes, Asim and Tidus are able to do what they do best, rally the crew, kind of physically, and get the ship in motion, or get this flotilla in motion to move around. Are you going north or south?
So you said like that little curve in the...
So it's kind of ovicular in shape, so it's going to curve in both, like the coastline curves in both directions. It's just a matter of like, would you rather go south first, like go clockwise or counterclockwise around this thing? You're starting at about 9 o'clock from the diagram that I have.
Probably whichever direction is gonna put us closer to the base of the mountain.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, that would be south then. So you guys start making your way around the southern portion of the island. what you notice is that the southern portion, while densely populated with jungle, you can see that this first kind of hill mountainside is rising up in front of you. This little inlet leads almost right to the base of it where the waves are crashing in, but you kind of, Tidus, being the sea captain that you are, want to get around it, find a place where you can be in the shadow of the mountain, but also have a suitable place to land. So you continue moving southward. As you're rotating around, the jungle is still pretty dense. The coastline, you can land anywhere at this point as you're moving southward, but it's really find a place where your boats won't get pulled back out to sea once you tie them up. There's a lot of the little nuances of being on the ocean that make these places unsuitable, right? So as you continue to go around the southern portion, what you notice in the horizon is that the land breaks off at one point, and you can tell that there are two different shorelines that you're looking at. You're looking at the curve of the one that you're currently following, and then you're looking at one that's like almost facing directly perpendicular to you, right? Like across your face on the horizon. And so to you, Tidus, you would recognize this as a sign of some sort of inlet as the water is being pushed into this space. And so taking a moment, you circle the island, you find in fact that there is this kind of channel that goes into the heart, the almost dead center of this island. A large bay presents itself to you all, and it extends almost in a similar shape that the island itself has, as the island kind of curls around it like a horseshoe. You notice that there are now 3 hillside mountain ranges. There's one immediately to your west. There's one to your northwest. That's like, and they're all like, the one to the west is like dead center between the 2 pieces of water. The one that's to your northwest is almost right up to the base of the water. You probably have about 1,000 or so feet from the edge of the water to where the hills start to rise up. And then there's a third mountainside far off on the opposite end of the island to the east. As you're going in, I need everybody to give me observation rolls, please.
One success for Zuri.
Okay, Zuri, 1 success. 1 success for Asim. 1 for Fred. And Tidus.
Just 1.
There we go.
You all notice something odd. The majority of this island completely abandoned until you get to, or what looks to be abandoned, until you get to this inlet, this little bay, where you notice stone columns starting to rise out of the water from the shore. Tidus, and those of you who've traveled by primarily or mostly by water would recognize this as some sort of quay or dock. As you approach closer with your flotilla, there are several of these little piers that jut out from the water. And the space between them looks like they were meant for about the size of a ship as the Ebony Rose. Maybe slightly smaller than that, but the Ebony Rose had a crew of about 15 or had about crew of 18 plus you guys could probably comfortably fit about 25 people. So 25 or less size ships. And there are there are about 3 of these Ks that are there. Now, the other thing you all notice as you get closer, and the closer you guys get, you guys don't need observation rolls because it's simply just like, hey, I'm looking at this thing. These are covered with layer upon layer of algae and barnacles, and as the water is kind of just like washing up onto them, you can see the stone itself is just kind of growing this like little ecosystem, right? And the wood on top is cracked and brittle, aged and stained with time as the sun has continuously beat down on it and the seawater has splashed up onto it, covered in algae and all sorts of vegetation. Definitely has not been used anytime recently, but it is sign of life.
I mean, between Zuri wanting to get out of here and Asim and I both being desert people, I think like at this point, as soon as we're up there, might as well, or at least Fred is going to be like, all right, we're getting off the boat.
Very much. And like this isn't they're not unusable, so if you wanted to pull them up, I mean, you also can just like run the flotilla ashore. And as you guys do that, the crew immediately disembarks. Some of them dropping on their knees and saying quick signs and prayers for the fact that they did indeed find land. Others kind of immediately starting to assess and look around. A couple poking and prodding at the Ks to see how sturdy and like how well structured they are. And Katrina immediately jumping off the boat and delegating and getting to like the gritty work of like, hey, we need to survive. So she's like pointing stuff out, saying, hey, we need to set up camp, like let's pull the ships ashore, and is getting a good amount of the logistical stuff, or starting to get some of the logistical stuff done for you all.
Perfect. Because I didn't want to set up camp.
As I pull up her notes for what she wanted to do. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna tell really quick. I'm gonna because Aislinn, since Aislinn isn't here, she sent me a long list because her character is very much the get shit done character. So
I love it.
Her goals. Okay, one of them I'll talk to her about because that's more personal. But her main goal is to organize the crew, getting them to break down the ship shelters and set up shelters on the island, transfer the water collection to the island as well. And then she has a couple smaller tasks that she's going to set out to on her own. But the crew is very much going to be responsible for like that like first stage of Naked and Afraid, which is like set up camp. Listen, all of my inspiration for today's session has come from watching copious hours of Naked and Afraid, so be prepared.
As long as you don't make us all get naked.
No, you will be afraid, though.
Yeah.
That's fine.
The doom.
Yeah, the doom. No. But no, very much they're taking things down, they're setting things up, to the point where like the driftwood flotilla portion that you had, they're using a lot of that to set up little houses and kind of yurts for shade, for comfort, and for security while they are or while you guys are here. They also pull the two longships up and kind of make a barrier between the where the jungle begins and where your camp would be. So like kind of creating like an outer barrier. The rowboats aren't big, but they're definitely like big enough to form at least like a, hey, if something comes over it, you're gonna have to physically be able to see it. So they get that started. But other than that, the rest of things that you want to do, a lot of you have lost weapons. Some of you have lost, items that are precious to you. So however you want, some of you got a shark. So however you want to go about being on this island is up to you.
If everybody's all right, I'll get it started with securing the valuables. So as they're setting up camp, I would like to make sure that the shark, which I think by now has been gutted to preserve the meat, so all that's left is the skin and the teeth. I would like to find a place to sort of like hang that, like as they're building the camp, sort of hang that somewhere so that it's not just laying out in the sand and like turning disgusting.
Yeah.
Then I would like to hide some of our items that me and Fred have while everybody's busy.
Okay.
Would you like me to make a
so
stealth roll?
So for the first part of that, for the shark, very easily you're able to even utilize the rowboats as they're brought up. I mean, because the shark was a decently sized shark. So you're able to, kind of grab some seawater, wash off the bottom side of the boat where, there would still be sand and stuff, but wash off like where it would be, and place the shark hide over and allow it to dry out to the point where it can start that kind of leathering process. For your goods, yeah, can you do me a favor and roll me a... Let's go with stealth. Yeah, let's go with stealth. How are you hiding them? Where are you? Like, what's your... Like, what's your process for... Are you turning these into buried treasures? Or, are, like, what's your process or thought, like, yeah, of, like,
So
how you're going to go
I'm
about
like, oh, going to get some wood. Let me search around the beach. And then while everybody like turns around, I grab our chests and head to sort of like away from camp, but within eyesight of the tree line.
Okay.
Try and bury it in a spot where no one can see me, but like not no one can see me because I want it to still be within eyesight, but to where like, oh, if you're looking over at me, obviously I'm at this big tree and I'm cutting wood. Ooh. And
look
then
at them swinging my axe.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Sure, go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Okay. 2 successes.
Hell yeah. Yeah. You are able to, instead of like digging it directly into the sand, you're able to find a way to cut into the, like, where the roots of the tree these trees are starting to connect with the sand and the dirt. Because at this point, you're on the edge of the jungle where, like, the dirt, or like the sand is becoming physical ground,
yeah.
like becoming dirt, but it still has that flexibility and like movability that sand does to a sense. So you're able to create this like pocket underneath the roots to shove the chest into, cover it up pretty
Perfect.
effectively. My only other question for you is kind of on a meta level, but like this is a jungle. There are hundreds of trees on this shoreline. So how are you going to remember?
How do I mark it?
Yeah, how do you identify that this is your tree?
I put I feel like me and Fred by now have some sort of symbol for our like caravan / store. So I just etch it into the tree roots so that I remember.
Hell yeah. Cool. Perfect.
And then I will actually get some branches and some like anything like big enough to help us build the camp. Also anything like small enough to where I would know it would be good fire.
Okay, so like you're getting kindling, firewood, and like some building material. Cool.
Yes.
Go ahead and give me while you're out there. 'Cause bless you. Wow, that was a sneeze and a cough. That was impressive.
Thank you.
While you're out there, because picking up driftwood and moving around, simple enough. You can do that very, very easily. Go ahead and give me an observation roll for while you're out there, though.
Oh, yep. Knew that. Oh, gosh, this would be terrible if we were playing D&D. That's 2 successes.
Hell yeah. So, you notice quite a lot, actually, being one of the first people to kind of head off, not necessarily into the jungle.
I'm not careful. This could have been bad.
I know. But you notice, first and foremost, a lot of rustling in the trees. As you look up and start to move and shift, you notice that there are a lot of these kind of smaller, almost like howler monkeys that are, you notice the rustling, and then like as you begin to notice them and they recognize that you're noticing them and they're no longer being stealthy, they begin making noise, little kind of hoots and hollers. I don't know what word to describe. Yeah, howlers. They're howler monkeys. And like little like chitters back and forth amongst themselves, communicating. But they are definitely like not sticking around to look at you, and more of like they're afraid of whatever this thing is that's coming into their territory, and they're getting the hell out of Dodge. So you see a lot of, maybe about a dozen or so at the time, just kind of moving into the tree line farther into the island. The other thing you notice as you are moving through the forest, your foot stubs kind of into it. There's a solid piece of like rock or stone, and as you look down and kind of wipe away some of the branches and roots and kind of vegetation on the ground, you notice that this is almost like a square rectangular like slab.
is there anything like anything that's on it? I just move aside to see if there's like anything written on it.
There's nothing written on it that you can see. Looking forward and looking backward, behind you, nothing, because you're still very much kind of on the edge of the forest, or of the jungle. But looking forward, from where you're standing, you can see what looks to be almost like a path. The vegetation very much cut. Not necessarily like cut where you like presently, but like where it would have been cut to form an opening for people to walk. You take a couple of steps forward, and you notice, again, now that you've seen this one, very easily able to spot, wiping off some of the vegetation, a second one, a third one. Careful not to delve too deep into the jungle, because you don't want to be careless, but enough to know, like, whoever made that K made a path somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, I head back to make sure I tell everybody.
While you're doing that, because that would have taken some time. Awesome, Fred, Tidus, anything from you all?
As, or maybe before, or just as they're getting started, the crew is kind of building stuff. Before they like disturb too much of the island, can I see if there's anything there that like is remnants of the people who built the K, or like leads me maybe towards where Zuri is, though I wouldn't know that when I was looking.
Yeah, go ahead and give me a would that be something other than observation? Double checking. No, yeah, go ahead and give me an observation check there. Or survival. One of the two.
My survival is better. Let's make that survival.
For it.
Still only one success.
One success. I would say with one success, you're able to identify in the tree line that there is like this weird or strange kind of opening. Again, it started, the jungle has started to grow back into the space, but the space is still very much identifiable. You notice, like, you would have made note that, like, oh, Zuri's off in that general direction. But that's something that you could have 100% identify, is that there is this space or kind of split in the jungle that looks to be some sort of walkway or path.
And I almost said our read. My read on the situation is probably that, based on the initial like dock and now like the jungle growing back over the kind of cutouts, that it's probably pretty safe to assume that we're the only ones on this island.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you have seen no other sign of life that you're at least aware of, given the age of the dock. Not very likely that there's somebody here. Again, would require a little bit more exploration. The island doesn't look too large. It looks very traversable in the span of a day. But yeah, without real investigation as to the whole island, you wouldn't be 100% sure, but you definitely have a vibe.
Okay.
I'm guessing you're going to make your way over. Like, you're going to slowly kind of make your way over, kind of meandering toward there. Cool. Awesome, yes. Tidus.
I think I am searching around. How much, in terms of the shark, how long would you say that shark would last us?
With the size, well, with the diminished size of the crew, I mean, shark depends. Like, so how survivalist, like, rationing would you guys be? Like, when you guys were on the ship is one thing, but here you guys can hear the sounds of wildlife. Again, you can't really make out exactly what, but you can hear the signs of wildlife. Coming in, you would have seen a couple of crocodiles in the bay area. So you know there is bigger game for you to hunt, at least in the water. You can, again, still attract sharks or fish. Really comes down to, are you going to ration the shark, or are you going to allow people to eat as they wish and then, just hunt and survive and, do all that stuff during the day?
I'm going to leave that decision to not just myself, but the rest of the crew, but I'm going to case the area along the water for more fish to spearfish, and also just taking mental note of where I can hunt. That way, once it comes time for us to hunt, I don't have to spend time looking. I kind of already know where to go.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a survival check then, please.
One success.
One success. Cool. So pretty easily identifiable. Crocodiles in the water. Those are probably those and sharks going to be the more dangerous things to try to hunt. So like in your mind, like, hey, last resort. If we haven't found any food for the day, we could probably capture one of those two, and have a bigger food source. Delving into the jungle a little bit from where you're at, you again can see and hear these smaller howler monkeys, initially kind of like on the edge of the forest, like they're observing and watching you. But as the crew and you are starting to make your way closer and closer to forest to acquire firewood or, construction materials for creating a space here, they are retreating deeper into the forest. Those, you would have knowledge of, like, eating small creatures of that size, whether it be things like squirrels or similar types of monkeys. The game, like the meat, is very, very stringy and gamey. So like, if again, it wouldn't be something that you'd be like, hey, this would be kind of a last resort food, because like it's kind of doesn't taste really good, doesn't cook really well. Eating it is a mess. But as you continue to delve deeper in, you probably go about 100 or so feet in, you begin to hear these kind of heavy grunts. Looking around, you notice that there are wild boar here.
Oh, okay. Wild boar.
Looking around, and kind of looking and scanning, you notice tracks as well. The tracks are arguably the size of like a smaller human fist, but like pretty good size. These are bigger creatures that are left to fend for themselves on the island and don't seem to have a problem finding food. So you'd imagine these would be bigger game, like a sustainable food source if you can find enough of them.
I'm going to spend a little time trying to track where these bigger food sources are. Again, just taking note of where everything I can possibly reach is, and then I'll return back to camp to assist with the. I'm gonna also assist once I get back to camp. I'm gonna assist the crew with helping set up shelter and just giving them an extra hand.
Cool. What's your survival target number?
Survival target number is 12.
12. Okay. Go ahead and roll one more survival for me. If it was high enough, I was just gonna make it do. But
that's one success.
Cool. Very easily able to identify. You find not one, but 3 different pods or packs, groupings of these boar. They seem to be in about groups of like half a dozen to a dozen, and creeping up on a couple of these groups, they stand on average from like ground to shoulder about 2 to 3 feet tall. So these are big animals. Talking close to 100 pounds of meat per kill. Well, pre cutting open and all that stuff. But a sustainable food source, you've at least seen close to 30 of them, give or take. So it's like you're, and that's just like in this small little patch of jungle that you've started searching. You search for take about an hour or so to do that. Not moving far from where your camp is, but moving far out enough where only your movements would really be what would scare or move these creatures away, and taking the care to not really distress them in any way. On your way back, you would also notice typical signs of other sorts of jungle life. There's lots of flies, there's lots of bugs. Like, it's very buggy once you get into the jungle. Mosquitoes, you see spiders, you see snakes, various types of birds, and other, general kind of very kind of tropical forest life around you. You also notice that there are groves of vegetation that bear fruit. So you see things like kiwis and mangoes and the occasional kind of lemon tree growing from the ground. You see wild onion. So there isn't just a sustainable source of protein. There are some things to get you, the vitamins and minerals and whatnot that you need.
Yep, because we all need to know that every mercenary needs to eat their fruits and veggies as they are stranded on an island.
Yep. You don't want to you don't want to get scurvy. Like,
exactly.
That's how teeth fall out. Come on.
So I'm going to take all that information and relay it back to the crew, possibly try to form some sort of, hey, like, as we are stuck here, figuring out, hey, who can go with me, since I'm pretty sure I shouldn't be the only one hunting and gathering at that time. And this will be discussed as we continue to build the shelter and make sure that everybody's safe.
Cool. Perfect. Tidus, anything from you?
Yeah, Tidus is looking for, like, dock means people need water, so Tidus is looking for a fresh water source.
Awesome. Let me double check one. Dope. Perfect. Yeah, very easy to do. As you are moving and shifting down the coast, kind of following, you make note of Zuri and Fred kind of going into this inlet, or not inlet, this kind of pathway or passageway through the jungle. Keep going farther to the east, and then as it starts to curve, like east by northeast, as the coastline of this bay kind of curves up, following the ridge of this mountain that is in the backdrop of the beach. You circle around and you find the spot where the fresh water and salt water are kind of coming together. There's a small little ravine river that is coming down from the mountain that feeds into the bay. So you do have a fresh source of water. It's probably about a good 20-minute walk or so from where you guys have landed and are setting up camp, but not you have between the rain catching apparatus that Katrina made and now this river, ample amount of ways to find and capture water.
Cool. And then as Asim comes back and tells us about the wild boar and that kind of stuff, Tidus would set about, like, I would start making a replacement net if I can find enough, cordage to start making another fishing net.
Yeah, so what I will say is that you can go one or two routes. There's natural cordage from like ropes and stuff that you guys used as the ship was falling, or as the Ebony Rose was falling apart to make your flotilla. So you could take rope from that and start to work it and weave it and like take it apart and put it back together. Or you can find like fronds, like palm fronds and things like that, and create a net that's more natural. Which would be the option that you think Tidus would go around or go through?
I think that I would use some of the rope from the ship.
Okay. Go ahead and make a crafting check for me. And not palm fronds, because palm fronds are too... That was my... I'm trying to think of what they use. They use... oh my gosh, I know they peel... I can see it in my head. I know exactly what they do. I just don't remember what the word for it was.
It's like strips of bark and stuff.
Yeah, it's like they take the... I don't know how to describe it. I know exactly what it is though, because like they make little tiny... They make cordage out of it, but I don't remember what the material is. But yeah, it's not palm fronds.
Okay, that is one success, but I will use something if I need to.
Let's see. If you want to use,
I imagine that I have made nets before.
Yeah, if you want to use if you want to use a, hang on, I'm trying to find where where I have additional stuff for momentum. If you want to use a momentum point, I'll let you roll another die if you want to. I know that's technically a fortune point thing, but I'm going to let it, in this instance, be a momentum thing.
Okay. That's a 3, so
Cool.
good to go.
Yeah, so with one, you felt secure, like you felt good with one success, or like, initially, but then you're like, hang on, let me take a little bit more time. So you spend a little bit more time and really, really secure it, kind of pulling at some of the knots in the netting and the mesh work to ensure that it won't fully break if something were to, capture or start to rip and tear at it or bite at it. Especially knowing that the things that you can potentially be hunting with this thing are things like crocodiles and boar that have teeth or tusks that can rip through netting pretty easily. You find that the net that you've made is pretty secure.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else?
Yep.
Are you good there?
No, I'm good. I would set about helping, get the shelter set up and.
Cool.
Um,
Cool. As you're doing that, Tidus, you notice and are starting to get a lot of dirty looks. Not necessarily like people are starting to say, like, nobody's saying anything under their breath quite yet. But when you move in to like start to help, it's like one of those where it's like, hey, I'm here to help, and then you're like they slowly like back out until you're doing whatever task is alone. And so it's a lot of like starting a task with a group of people, finishing it on your own, moving to the next task, starting it with a group of people, beginning to finish it on your own. And awesome coming back and like being in this space and starting to gather like a hunting party. You'd very easily be able to notice this as well. But before that, we're going to transition back to Zuri and Fred, who are now, Fred, you've moved down this path. You can see probably about 30 or so feet into the jungle itself. Zuri just kind of hanging out, starting to wipe away at some of these stone slabs that you can see that are on the ground.
I mean, if I'm honest, we don't trust the other people on this island, especially not with the whole
Absolutely.
fucking shell thing.
Yeah. Exactly. So, okay, first things first, we'll get to this as I point down. Second, first things first, what do we do about this entire situation? Because we for sure should not be trusting, Tidus. He led them straight to us, obviously. What do we do about everybody else? Like, I mean, there's strength in numbers, but we're on a deserted island. Things can turn bad quick.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the best we can do is go along with it for now. But as soon as it turns, you and I are out of there.
Yeah. I mean, we got to figure out how to, first of all, get off this island, right? So I think I've put my little, like, supplies that I've gathered off to the side. Do you want to check this out real quick? I was going to come back and get you.
Yeah, fuck it. I mean, I have my knife. Did you end up with any weapons, or are we flying blind here?
No, I kept my axes. Well,
oh yeah, you did the violent shark murder.
Okay, wasn't violent. It was quick. But I think, Logan, last time you did a check for Fred to keep her stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I talked with Fred to establish what they have. Did I say, I don't remember specifically if I said what Fred kept.
You said I could keep my knife because it is little and
bad.
Well,
I meant did that sound accurate? Did I say anything about the bow last?
I wouldn't know where
so.
you hit it.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're good. We'll just say knife for
Okay.
now, because the bow is
Okay.
easy. Yeah, you guys can make a bow if you need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Fred has her knife, and Zuri, you have your axes, and Yeah.
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I also saw some monkeys.
Cool.
Yeah. I think it's fine. They're not killer monkeys because they made a lot of noise. If they were killer monkeys, they would have sat and watched me for a little bit and then attacked.
Do you know a lot of killer monkeys?
I've read stories. It's like the bad point is when they're all just sitting on a branch staring at you. That's when you know you're in trouble. But as soon as they saw me, they started freaking out. So I think we're good here.
I'd start freaking out when I saw you too. You got those big axes.
They are hand axes, and look at them. They're beautiful, intricate, and very illegal. So
Very illegal. Yeah. Okay, let's go. I'm gonna
What?
adopt
They're-
a monkey the second I'm allowed.
Wait, what? They're illegal? What? Where are they illegal?
no, I just
I gotta start creating laws for axes now. Every port.
they're from somewhere people don't really go, and so yeah, I got them for a good deal.
Gotcha.
To
Cool.
make them so important.
So the cool news is that this path is pretty straightforward. You can follow it for as long or as short as you want to, but you notice that it starts to head north and then kind of starts to curve north by northwest, and it goes and moves and shifts up through the jungle into the hillside. At this point, you can still hear the howling of monkeys. You can hear the constant, almost like white noise sound, the buzzing of insects. You can see, these giant kind of tarantulas and other sort of spiders kind of crawling up the walls not walls, trees and whatnot. Snakes slithering around. You can begin to hear what sounds like some sort of other larger game, kind of rustling and moving in the underbrush as well, farther off in the distance. My question is, how long do you follow this path for? As you're now probably about 15 or so minutes in, and it's starting to curve up, and elevation's starting to rise, heading into what you guys would know is that mountainside and that hillside, hillside and mountainside that is in the backdrop of where you landed.
Can I spend a momentum point to try and gauge the distance that it would take us to get to the hillside?
To get closer to where the summit would be, or something like that.
Yeah, because I'm guessing that's probably the best to put either a fort, a sort of small town, sort of away and more inland, but how much time would it take us to get to the hillside?
Yeah, 100%. Go ahead and spend a momentum point on that. You would be able to determine that it would take probably about another, at the most, half hour. If you guys were walking, if you were casually walking as you are now, and I would imagine the wood that you've been collecting, you kind of set down where the two of you were talking, closer to the entrance as you guys make your way in. Yeah, I mean, no more than a half hour to reach a place that you would think, and you saw the hills and the mountainside. There's a portion where the jungle just stops being jungle, right, and it becomes more mountainous terrain. And so you'd be able to be hey, high ground, good place for a spot, like you were saying, but also a really good vantage point to see anything on the horizon that may be coming in. But yeah, probably no more than a half hour.
So probably about 30 more minutes. By the time we get there and then decide to head back, it'll probably be 2 hours. We're gone.
Close to it, yeah.
I guess, yeah. And do we have any idea how long it'll take them to build all the shelters and move things off the flotillas? How long we could hypothetically be gone?
Gone without, just in case we're gonna keep this to ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can. I mean, being knowing the nuances of how to hide your actions, and like kind of be seen but not be seen. You were seen going to get wood. Like you were seen Zuri carrying wood. Fred similarly going to go help Zuri. So like they're like, okay, cool, they're going to get wood. But as for setting up, if and Katrina is making sure it's done right, could take the better portion of the day for like actual physical shelters to be made. Yeah. Like we're not like if you want to just like throw a piece of tarp over something or like throw some branches over something, but like hey, here's like a lean-to, cool. But Katrina is very much in it for the long haul and is like, hey, we're going to build mini homes for everybody. Like everybody gets a home. No, not that serious, but like building a better structure than just like a bunch of sticks leaning against the wall with like double entrances and stuff. Building something that's a little bit more defensible, and structured. So that'll take the better portion of the day as they have to physically cut down trees, pull bark away, getting fronds for roofing and things like leaves and stuff like that for roofing. You guys essentially the day is yours for all you know.
Perfect.
Yeah, awesome. And definitely their focus is all on Tidus. So yes, we're going to the mountain.
Yeah, and their focus very much is not on the people that have been providing them food. Given that giant shark that you guys brought in the night before. Yeah, so you guys continue upward following the path. You get to where the jungle starts to turn from more tropical to more mountainous sorts of plant life. It's still very much like you still have like tropical trees, but it's starting to become less dense, and it's starting to open up a bit more. Where the tree line ends, as you are beginning to get out of the hillside and into where the mountain is beginning to start to crest and become more of this kind of rockier mountainous terrain, the two of you continue walking. You walk for about 10-15 minutes in this space. It's quiet. And not like the quiet of like, oh, it's like it's chill, we're in nature. There is no sound of anything. No birds flapping or making, calls. No monkeys hollering. No boar trampling through the undergrowth. No insects buzzing. There's no sign of animal life up here in the mountains whatsoever. And in this odd and eerie sense, as you continue to climb the mountain and kind of get to you're now only maybe from where you could see the summit to be, only maybe about another 5 or 10 minute walk. We'll transition back to Asim and Tidus, who are on the beach, going helping Katrina and going about their various tasks. Awesome. Establishing a hunting party, you are able to gather without pulling from, kind of working collaboratively with Katrina to establish like how many people she needs for her projects versus how many you would need feasibly to go hunting and hunt boar, especially of this size. You are able to pull, I'd say 3 or 4 people to come help you from the 11, without disrupting any of the day's workings. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, you start to notice a pattern of Tidus being left to his own devices when he's trying to go help others.
So I notice I'll notice that pattern, and as I'm out hunting with the few that I'm hunting with, like to ask them, just all right, checking in with them. How are you guys okay? Like, you could talk to me if that means anything, but you seemed pretty eager to join me as opposed to staying and helping our other friend there, Tidus. Is everything all right?
I mean, You worked with a sorcerer. I don't... Those magics are... strange. If he had workings and dealings with one of those arts, why would I want to be associated with him? Especially after the rose is gone.
You were close to the rose, weren't you?
Served on it for under Zahar for it's about 8 years. It was my home.
Almost had a feeling you were going to say that. If there's anything I've learned from my travels, it's that yes, you're right to hold a grudge or anything, and not easy having your home taken away. But right now, in the thick of things, we have to rely on each other. I'm relying on you as much as you're relying on me, and this also means we have to rely on somebody we may not want to rely on right now, but we have to get through this together. If we don't, our odds of survival are less. I get it. It's not ideal, but we're going to have to do this just to survive, and we'll discuss we'll discuss all that happening later. But for now, I need you to just trust in everyone right now. We have to work together. I understand we're frustrated, and trust me, I'm frustrated too, but we really don't have a choice right now, my friend. So for now, he's going to need some help too. Let's help him, and then we'll discuss him completely fucking everyone over at this point. Savvy?
Go ahead and make me either a counsel or persuade roll, whichever you deem is higher.
Can I do it as command? Because it's,
yeah, I'll allow command. Sure. I mean, yeah, it depends on how you're. I was going with counsel more because of your tone, but if you're going for the more like I'm trying to be a little bit more forceful, 100% do it.
Yeah, I'm also doing it because counsel and persuade.
Yes. Listen, I see you. I'm not gonna deny it. Listen, this is that's what I love about TTRPGs is that like you can find a way to use any sort of role in any way that you want. So yeah, you can use command.
It was one success regardless. So
awesome. Yeah, I mean it's you're in a situation where you're able and following kind of in Katrina's footsteps, but also like on your own path, finding ways for you guys all to take command of the situation, to take ownership and take leadership of the situation that's at hand. For you, very much being able to speak kind of like that common tongue between people who are used to the rougher life, being a mercenary, you're used to being out constantly kind of moving and fighting the fights for yourself, but also for others. And so in this instance, very similarly, these people are, these crew members are people who lost their home, just going from one place to another, like they would normally do. But finding a way to say, listen, we are all in this together. No matter what kind of grudges, like you were saying, really hitting the point home of like, we are not getting out of here if we let that resentment build up to, being hostile to one another. And the few that are with you in this hunting party begin to at least kind of give those nods of approval and understanding towards you. You get some kind of glances back and forth, but the message is hit home with them, and they're generally receptive of what you're saying.
Cool.
Are you trying to hunt any boar right now? Is that the goal? Is that you going out and trying to kill stuff?
Fuck it. Yeah, we're hunting boar.
Cool. What I'd like you to do then is make a survival roll. I'm not gonna nothing elaborate, but I will say. Actually, we're gonna make it twofold. Do a stealth check first.
One success.
Okay. Go ahead and make a survival check for me.
Where's my survival number? Ooh, that is one success. Again.
One success.
Just a barely a success too. Holy crap.
Shit. I gotta pull out the big book.
Pull out the big book.
We got a big book pull, everyone.
Woo!
Take a shot.
Oh yeah.
Take a shot. Is that what you're about to say, Andrew?
Yeah, I don't fuck.
Hang on. I'm looking up a rule because I wanna do something. I'm sitting here with 12 doom, so I wanna
Okay.
and of course the page I have to turn to as I pull out the big book is 269, so you know.
Yes, spin
Nice.
Spend your doom here and not at the ominous.
I got 12 points I got 12 points of damn doom. Like I could spend as many as I want now and still have plenty left over.
Oh no.
Spending doom, minor inconvenience. No, I want something a little bit better than that.
Okay.
Spending four more doom. Spending 4 more doom points. So
Oh my God.
Shush.
There's gonna be a 6-pointer in there someplace.
I am bearing all of the doom.
No, you know what? I'm going to spend 2 doom.
it.
I'm going to spend 2 doom. And I'm going to give you a complication.
Okay.
And that complication is going to be that during your first kind of jaunt, you weren't necessarily reckless in how you went out and explored, but you weren't super stealthy. And so while you were respectful of the space and able to kind of go in and observe and then pull back out and kind of go back to the camp as normal, when you go in with this larger group, even though you're quiet and making your way through, when you get to like those moments of striking, that's when those little moments of like, you guys aren't quite a hunting team. You're a mercenary and 4 sailors who don't really have like that nuanced coordination of like surround and jump and like everybody jump at the same time. And so in those little moments is where the frustrating like snap of a twig that immediately startles the group of boar and like they all go running off into the forest. Those little nuances of like you're just on the precipice of getting a kill and surrounding and like trying to pick one that you want, and then one little thing goes wrong, and so you spend the majority of the day frustratingly getting in these situations where you're just about to pounce, bolt, just about to pounce, bolt, just about to pounce, bolt, which, if I've learned anything from Naked and Afraid, happens quite a lot. So it's okay. It's day 1. You still have shark meat. Ooh ha ha. Shark bait. Sorry. But
Ooh ha ha.
ooh ha ha. I'm sorry. I have to like ADHD brain is like I gotta do a little bit every once in a while. Gotta make it fun. But you spend the majority of the day hunting these boar. The good news is, I will say, with complications also come learning experiences. So even though a lot of this was fail, the move forward is we now kind of have a plan and we understand how we're working. Like, so you're building that team, you're building that kind of group hunting mechanic. You're also learning the patterns of where the boar are moving throughout the island. And so you're able to identify the thicker, like the very, very thick 2Cs portions of the jungle where the boar go to like hide and get away from you entirely, and you aren't able to get into. But you also notice these patches and glens where the falling of the kiwi and the mango create this kind of safe space for the boar to eat. You also notice the small little kind of stream river that comes from the mountain that they go to for water. So like you've identified all the good hunting grounds. You've started to develop that group hunting kind of skill set, despite not coming home with any food. Yeah.
training mode, as what we call it.
Training, yeah, you're in montage mode. Like,
Yes.
lots of failures, but there are some successes. I will say I love the Doom mechanic for giving me complications, but like, gotta find the light. You gotta find the silver lining in the complications, I feel. And that was...
The montage song is "Let's get down to hunting."
I swear, my whole thing was
to kill some boars.
My whole thing was I'm going to take these sailors and teach them more about hunting as well. And I'm going to tell them one last thing while we're out here, and even while we're hunting, and even when we're back at camp. Keep your eyes out for even more wood, specifically wood that we could maybe fashion into more sailing boats. Listen, we're not staying on this island. This is just an idea. This is just for our survival. But we also need to find ways off of this island. So whatever wood you find, take note of it. See if we can bring it back, because eventually we're going to need to build something to get out of here.
Yeah, and the vibe you get from that very much is we've been kind of keeping an eye. There are some trees that seem to be a little bit broader that we can, if we fell and hollow them out, we'd be able to make some craft with. There's some larger pieces of wood that we can use for pontooning and things of that nature. And so sailors, by their very nature, want to ensure that they can get back to sea. So they're like, hey, like, what's some things that we can do? So they're keeping an eye out. They're following that direction. Already kind of starting that process, but they're also they're remaining hopeful that like an actual ship comes, and not
having to
build it by hand. There are boatswain and people who like work on fixing the ships, but none of them by any means are like actual shipbuilders. So like that's the thing that they're more hesitant about. Of like, we can make a ship, can it float? Who knows? Yeah, spend the day doing that. Tidus, back to you.
Yeah. Noticing the trend of, the rest of the crew ignoring me and, abandoning whatever task we're working on, trying to help with. Tidus would, I'm very intentionally making eye contact with the crew and, making sure that they know that I'm seeing what they're doing. And, as I'm working on things, I'll make a show of using the weapon that I have, using my knife for different things. I'm armed, and I see what you're doing. So, and I don't know, after the first 3 or 4, I'll help you with this. Okay, well, fuck me, I guess. I would decide, you know what, fine, you guys do this on your own, and I would start dragging as much burnable material as I can into a pile, 100, 200 feet away from where we're setting up camp, and making a signal fire.
Okay. Yeah, so the two things that we'll say to that is that you want to make sure that you're not that they can see it from where like the inlet in, or like the channel into this bay would be. So you got to move kind of closer to where that river comes down to build it. Again, probably about 5-10 minute walk. But it's a place where you can keep it sustainably going, create a big enough pile and a big enough kind of space on the beach, and just it'll continue to burn and burn and burn. Go ahead and give me because that's very easily, you're able to do that. It's going to take a majority of the day, but while you're doing that, go ahead and give me an observation
roll. 1 success.
1 success. Cool. As you're setting this up, you notice on the horizon, you see almost as if something's moving. You're not quite like looking out towards the sea. You're not quite sure what it is. Very likely a ship, but you're not able to identify. Like, you're not able to identify the size or anything like that. It's very much like you're seeing the bare bones silhouette of it on the horizon. You know, hundreds and hundreds of feet out into, or off into sea.
Yeah, that would probably spur me on to try to get this fire built as quickly as I can.
Yeah. You'd be able to identify that you're somewhat in it, like you're off of a shipping lane somewhere, but not quite sure. Like, you don't know where exactly. And as you continue to build this fire pile, and get it lit, we'll transition over to Zuri and Fred. But before we go back to the mountain and what waits them, we're going to take a quick 5-10 minute break. So that way we can all, do the things, get some water, get some more coffee, all that good stuff. So we'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. In the meantime, hang out. Tell me should I give Fred a monkey friend? If I do, how much doom are you willing to give me? Or should I spend doom to make that monkey evil? All the good stuff. We'll be back in a couple minutes, folks. welcome back. So, Zuri, Fred, in this silence, you finally notice it. I'm gonna leave whether or not you decide to continue or go back up to you guys. I'm not gonna push you forward up the mountain. But you definitely notice that this is a very just static nothingness. Once you've reached it, it's been like it for maybe about the past 3, 4, 5 minutes. Like you're not quite sure when the shift happened, but you notice you're in this wall of audible nothingness.
Okay, that's not creepy at all. Oh no.
I really want to keep going.
I do too. I just want to lay eyes on something. That's it. I don't want to go in if there is anything to go in.
Yeah.
But I just want to lay eyes on something. Because obviously there's something here as I point to the path.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah.
And the path continues. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're noticing it's very much
like it's sort of a stairs a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like stairs or like a landing, and then like a little bit of like a climb or like a move. And it's shifting more from like these stone slabs to more of like an actual path. Yeah, it's like where once you've kind of gotten to the more mountainous area, it's less of like stone slab, few feet stone slab, and more of a here we're just creating this like kind of path through the hill and the mountain.
And we don't see. Before I do anything, can I make a lore test to see if I have heard about anything like this, like an island fortress, an island civilization?
You're really hung up on the fortress, aren't you?
I'm trying to think of things that would be on an island, and for some reason my brain keeps going fortress.
Zuri's like, this is my island, and I'm building a fortress.
Yeah, no, I have no reason to believe there's a fortress. I'm trying to think of like things that would be on an island.
Like a hidden temple, maybe.
Yeah, like temple, something like that.
Cool. Go ahead and give me this one will be a D. Where are you from originally?
I'm from Zamora.
Zamora. Okay, cool. I'm gonna make this a daunting, so D3.
Yeah, no problem. I'm
because you're from you're from way the hell inland, and you're out. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm gonna go ahead and spend a fortune here.
Okay, so that'll be an automatic 2 successes.
Automatic 2 or just 1?
Well, so if you're spending the fortune for where's my fortune points at? There you go. If you're spending your fortune points on a bonus die, it's an automatic 1 on the D20, which counts as 2 successes.
Okay. So yeah.
So you'd only need 1 success from this roll.
So okay, got it. And then this is lore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is one additional success, and because I have scribe as a talent, I will also gain a bonus momentum. Okay. I'm not counting the fortune one because I didn't roll that one, so it's just 1 more momentum that the group has.
Cool.
And then I can use this to obtain info momentum spin. So automatically I gain it, and then I use it for obtain information. I put info on there because I wanted to shorten it.
It'll brief the things.
I'm double checking.
Yeah, go ahead. I might have written it down wrong.
You're fine. That's not on my list, but that's fine. Obtain info, and I'll give you a little bit. So what I'll say is, you don't know exactly where you are. So to pinpoint like what was on this island would be the thing that I can't give you. Like I can't I can't tell you who these people were. I can't tell you what the civilization could have been. I can't tell you what to expect. But what I can tell you is that you would know that there are many civilizations such as Argos, right? Like Argos, where they are naturally, they kind of have this natural longing to be in the ocean and be on the sea, right? That didn't stem from them being a landlocked civilization. It stemmed from them being, water-based, right? So on islands like this one. So you would imagine that the civilization that was on here had some sort of purpose. You haven't seen anything outside of the docks. So drawing on it, this could be, you could be walking up to some sort of temple. You could be walking up to, like you've been thinking, a fortress. There's been no sign, usually, like if this were going to be a fortress, the in and out to it would be significantly larger because you'd be moving food supplies and things of that nature, like larger materials through. So that one you're immediately kind of checking off your list.
Okay.
But this island had a purpose, most likely some place that people would go to worship.
Yeah.
That's your immediate kind of thought, that this isn't a, given the size of the dock, given how small this path is, because the path can fit the two of you shoulder to shoulder and maybe one or two more. It's not particularly wide. The vibe you're getting very much is that this was some sort of seafaring civilization that came here and established some sort of temple, or some sort of building, potentially, to kind of pay homage to what they believe.
It's not a random fishing town.
At least from how you would perceive it, that this isn't some random fishing village. This isn't some, like, no random fishing village is going to have a path up to a mountain, right?
No,
like,
yeah.
if they were fishermen, if they were tradesfolk who were like, they would definitely be on the water, or close to the water, staying, if they went inland, would be kind of inland, but not up on a mountain. So that something has something of purpose, and something that meant something to them is up on the, the peak of this mountain, or where you're following this path.
So I relay all that to Fred. I'm thinking we're heading up to some sort of site, an important site. And now that things have gone quiet, to said lost important site, maybe we should head back right now.
Yeah, that's fair. I really want to know what it is, but
I
I
do too.
think like if we don't think that it's useful, I don't know that it's worth it.
Yeah, because a fishing village would probably have some sort of like supplies to use to help us get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure a site, like maybe supplies to survive, maybe not get out of here.
Oh, I will add on to your momentum. I will add on that you would know generally that temples are a source of knowledge. Or a place where knowledge could be found. So do with that as you will as well.
Could be a map.
I mean, could be a map. That was my
I'm just
instinct.
trying to push you toward. No, I'm kidding. Y'all
Yeah.
do what you want. I don't want you to go check out the top of the mountain at all.
Well, I mean, we'll get there. I'm just not sure we're prepared.
Here's a thought.
Yeah.
We just went through this whole sorcery shenanigans
Mhm.
with the shell and the. So maybe there's something to temples, or possibility of temples or hidden places like that, where we could have something adjacent to sorcery that might help.
Oh, maybe some protection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a great idea. But it's just, we have no idea what we're walking into. And if it's some
Yeah.
more sorcery bullshit, I'd rather have other people here that will set off traps that we can use as human shields and the like. If bodies are dropping, it shouldn't be our bodies.
Yeah. Okay. We'll head
Yeah.
back then.
So,
Also,
I can't argue with that logic.
Also, as we're walking down, because it'll take us a minute, I will, since we're like more inland now, I feel like there'd probably be like sturdier stuff. I'm not gonna get a lot because that's a lot to drag. It's a 2-hour walk, but maybe get like something that's sturdy enough that me and Fred can carry that we can either use to start working our way towards building something, or we can still use it for like shelter since it's like huge enough to be used.
Cool. Yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah.
I'd say that's definitely doable. You find some larger pieces of wood. You find some like you find usable bark that would like thicker and more durable bark that you can use as either like a door or like walling for kind of if you were setting up more of like a lean-to as you make your way back. It only takes you guys about round trip all told will take you guys a couple hours. So you kind of linger and loiter for a little bit. You, like as you're coming back, you move through like off the path and through the jungle to point out where your little hoard of treasure is to Fred before coming out of like the jungle itself rather than down over by where like the path was. As you do so, you notice that everything's still very much in motion and things are being built. There are small shelters being made. There's a section where like they just made like a small tent using some of the covering and the sailing that you guys had instead of using it for shelter. It's more like a permanent like home. Katrina utilized it in a way that's almost like hey, during the day if you need a break, here's some shade. So that way, like, everybody's not, like, just, like, holing up in whatever shelter they've built. And there can be a little bit of a community in the space.
Woo! We are tired, so we're just going to drop off this wood and go straight to the shelter, or the shade. So much wood. Just so much. You guys keep building. We're all in this together as I lay down.
Just roll a singular d20 for me.
Hey, just one d20?
Yeah.
It's a 10.
It's a 10? Okay. You brought, like, a very average amount of wood. Like...
Not enough for 2 hours.
No. No, not, like, for being gone for 2 hours? No, not at all.
No. Woo! So tired.
We're very weak.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of get some...
We're merchants. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
hard labor.
Thank you. We're actually we're building shelters for everybody right now. Is there any... are you two rooming together?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You can see they're kind of building them either for like groups of 2 or like...
If you can make ours sort of like close to the water, but also not close to the water. Oh, that one right there, yeah, it's not going to work for us, so we will choose... Ooh, that one looks really nice. I
just start pulling Zuri away. I'm like, okay, and we're moving.
They just kind of look at you for a second, and then they're like, yeah, we're making them all roughly the same size, and they're all going to be kind of roughly...
Want mine to be better.
They're joking.
Oh. Okay, cool. Then, like, you can see, like, a couple of the sailors are very much, like, starting to get, like, not to the point of sunburn, but, like, more darker tanning, coming in. Sweat full building up on their faces as they've been working hard all day and you guys took a walk. But
we took a long walk.
You took a long walk. Listen, it was a hike.
Exhausted.
It was a hike. You went up a mountain. But there was a trail, so you weren't necessarily roughing it.
And while we're in the shade, Logan, I will start working on some of the not thinner pieces of wood, but like long, so I can start making spears.
Okay, go ahead and give me a crafting check.
Cool. And these are going to be throwable ones, not ones that you just poke at. So they're going to be a little lighter.
Dope.
Yeah, javelins.
Javelins.
Okay. Ooh, 2 successes. What was I doing?
That.
I don't know how I know it's a success if I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh,
but they're low.
Crafting.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. They're both. Successes.
What skill? Gotcha. I was like, what do you mean? You were making spears? No, but still 2 successes with craft.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So you take the rest of the afternoon. You start working on kind of creating these kind of spear shafts that are more aerodynamic, like where you can like actually like throw them. They're lighter, but they still have that like flexibility to them, but they still have that strength where if you were to hold them and like thrust at a boar with them, that you'd be able to stab without the spear breaking. I'd say, how many are you looking to make? Is there like, are you just kind of like, hey, however many I can, or?
Yeah, however many I can, because even though I was like talking a lot of shit about not doing anything, I will do this.
Cool.
However, because I didn't get like a crit success, so however many
go
I
ahead
can
and
make, which is 2.
Go ahead and roll me. Go ahead and roll me a d6.
D100? Sure.
What?
75 Jeff.
You turn into a machine for like 2 seconds and just like piece of wood, piece.
6.
6. Okay. I'd say you're able to make 6. I mean, you're gonna take the better part of. So the interesting thing is like we're in this weird time shuffle now because it only took a couple hours to walk and come back. So the majority of your afternoon is like Asim's like, hey, I'm going hunting, and like doesn't really say much as he takes 4 people and goes off. And like Tidus, you can see the 2 of you can see Tidus like brandishing his fucking knife and like flicking people off as they move out of the way and are actively avoiding them. But Zuri, you just kind of get into this like tunnel vision where you're like, Asim and 4 people went out to hunt boars with 1 spear. So that's, you know what? That's what added to your complication. You only had 1 spear. There you go. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. 5 people trying to jump on a boar with 1 spear and like no other weapons.
I'm just doing this as I see them walk off.
And you're just like they're not prepared. There we go. See, we've come full circle. The beauty of it.
That's genius.
But so Zuri just immediately in the mindset of like, I need to get spears so that way we can get food. Just tunnel vision, working away. Fred, is there anything that you would be doing while you see all this going on? I would say like you're actively aware of the situation that's going on with Tidus as well.
Right. And Asim is still in the woods.
Asim's out in the Asim's out in the jungle. That's like a most of the day thing. Him and the crew and the hunting crew won't be back until closer to nightfall.
Okay. I have a thing I want to do when he gets back, but for now I'm just gonna kind of try and look helpful. And Brown-wise, she's not very, very talented. Maybe one of my lowest scores. So most of what she's doing is just like standing beside a large group of people, following someone towards some piles of wood. Not really participating, but like really there to help.
Fred's got a clipboard, just like following.
Yeah, she's just checking
stuff off.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a you know what? Make a this is I don't either linguistics or a society check.
Ooh, yeah, society. That's cool.
Let's go with society.
Neither of these are good.
Let's go with society.
Okay, great. Both of these are bad. Let's take a check. What is this number? One.
One success. Okay. Fuck it. I'm erasing Doom. I'm spending Doom.
Oh no.
Here comes the doom.
Oh my god.
Shut up! I don't get to use these.
Use it on my nice little clipboard moment.
So like as you're walking around and like kind of doing the because you're not like micromanaging. Like you're not sitting there
No.
and like telling them what to do, but like you're actively not doing anything while trying to look like you're doing something. So I'd say while you're very successful at doing that, you're also very successful at being noticed doing that. And so like the crew and Tidus is very easily able to identify this behavior. And you start to notice that like you two are being not necessarily like you can follow along and people aren't saying anything by the fact that you're following along, but nobody's really talking to you or directing. Like they're like you're very much just kind of there in this space. But you can notice that there's a bit of like, Fred's partner is definitely doing work and like being helpful. Like what Zuri's doing is being noticed as helpful, and like what you're doing is just like, why are you here?
That's so unfortunate.
Yeah. And so like you can see the attitude kind of shift from like, hey, like, oh cool, Fred's here to help, to like, Fred's here and they're standing next to me and they're not doing anything, and like I had to lift up this giant log by myself. It weighs like 400 pounds, and I almost broke my back, and like then I slipped in some sand and bumped my knee, and now it's swollen, but I'm still working, and Fred's here just following me again. And like it's like it goes from like being like kind of okay to like that, like you can tell just body language wise there's this level of resentment that's not being said, because these sailors understand how that kind of mentality, like that kind of blow up, would affect overall group morale.
Yeah.
But as that happens, day shifts. Tidus, you do notice that, so if there's anything you want to do during that time period, you can as well. Or if you want to just be like, cool.
I'm like very acute, because I spent most of my life on a ship with a crew, so I'm very focused on the fact that this crew has no use for me, and so feeling the isolation.
Wow. As day turns to night, the sun is beginning to set, getting darker. Asim, you come back empty-handed. But good news is you still got plenty of shark. So you start divvying that up. Actually, no, you wouldn't have came back empty-handed. You would have brought mangoes and kiwis at least. So there is some fruit to add to the shark. General mood of people, and you can tell, you notice that those that you were hunting with immediately start to like go to the rest of the crew and chat. Your talk taking seed and taking root in the crew, or with those four, are now starting to take root in the crew. And so like at one point a sailor will walk up to you, Tidus, and like hand you a mango, and just kind of like hand you a piece of mango and shark that are on this like little piece of palm, kind of like plate, offering it to you, and just kind of nodding.
Nod and take it. Not really say anything.
And the night shifts, fires are lit. Your only source of light in this area, the stars are abundant in the sky, but this is where the sounds really start to come out. As when things during the day are a little bit more passive, at night you can hear the monkeys in the forest beginning to holler and make noise and talk amongst one another. You can hear thick or bigger creatures moving in the underbrush. And at this point, the monkeys aren't staying back. They're now moving closer to the edge of the jungle where your camp is kind of like on the outskirts of. So you can see where like the fire's flickering up, like just dozens of little eyes poking out of the trees. But the night is also yours. Whether you rest or do anything else of the sort, it's very much up to you. Or if you establish some sort of watch.
Yeah, Katrina probably sets up a guard situation with the other sailors.
Mhm.
But after she does that, and some of the other sailors are just doing their own thing, I think I'd probably try and corral Awesome, Tidus, Fred, and Katrina into our shelter because I think we are the most level-headed um, people, and so I will let them know about what me and Fred found today about the path. So when we were collecting wood, there was a sort of a stone path leading up into the hillside. About I would say about 45 minutes into there. But we came back because it was long and we wanted to collect wood. Um, but yeah, so this is another aspect of this island that, I mean, have you guys ever heard of something like this?
GM, would I have heard about something like this?
Go ahead and make make a D3 lore check. Awesome. I'm gonna say, being from where you're from, probably because you're from where? What area are you from again?
Stygia in the desert.
Oh, me too.
Yep.
Where's Stygia?
The D3?
Where the hell is Stygia? Oh, yeah, but you're at least kind of by the coast. You can make a D3 as well. Correct. D3 means you need 3 successes.
Is it necessary that I actually would know? I got 2 successes.
Or if it's something that you would think that your character would be interested in trying to think that they know. God, that was a mouthful. That made no sense.
No, I understood that. I mean, he's not gonna. I'm just gonna flat out say never. He's not familiar about this, but yeah.
I'm gonna spend a fortune because I feel like we're still fairly close to my home waters that I know. So
Okay. So that would be how many successes for you there, Tidus?
well, I'm gonna roll because there's no way I could have gotten 3.
So you have 2 automatically, so you need 1.
So I got 1 success and a
And?
natural 20.
Oh Lord, here we go. But what bad can happen if we're just thinking about something?
He pops a
Rocks fall.
brain aneurysm. No, I'm kidding.
Have you not heard of theater of the mind and how bad things can happen there?
No. So while you're reflecting, you know that there's a handful of islands that are uncharted. You know that there are several islands that people have supposedly never been to. You don't know what island you're on. However, you do know that there are records of island civilizations out there. You know that there are cultures like your own that that take pride in being from the sea, and or at least being seafaring people. Thinking long and hard about the age of the docks and the description of the path that was described to you, the people that came here for a reason, but they also likely stopped coming for a very related reason to the reason why they came. That's what I'll give you. People just, like, if you have a place that you go, you just don't stop going. So whatever's here is a reason that they came here, but also a reason why they probably no longer come.
Those docks were well built, but they haven't been used in decades, I would say. So there has to be a reason for that. Feels like that reason is probably up that path.
Exactly what we were thinking. But I don't know if we can afford to avoid it altogether. There could be information and things up there that we could use. I would say, just putting it out there, Maybe we wait until we restore our strength, get some more food for a camp, build up our camp, and have the sailors start working on a mode of transportation out of here first before we head up that mountain. But I wanted to get the group's opinion on that, because what we find up there, I mean, it could be helpful or it could be very bad.
GM, knowing roughly where we were when the Ebony Rose was attacked and the direction and roughly how far we traveled to get to this island, would I have any idea how close we might be to the continent? Like, would I know if we could make it from where we are
with a raft, like with the ships that you would have had, like with the ships you had, and then like if you made something a little bit more substantial. There's a chance. I mean, you saw a ship on the horizon. Likely there's a shipping lane nearby. Can mean you're really close to land. Can mean you're really far from land. Judging your area, maybe no more than a day's sail, 2 days sail, but like you also sailed for 3 or 4 days, and this is what you got. So you're kind of up in the air. You know where you're at or around where you're at, but as to how long, like the what's the word? The variables in this are weather, are how calm are the seas, and are we stocked enough, and are we going in the right direction, and do we not get turned around, or like just kind of are just gradually floating, right? Those are the variables. You could definitely do it, but it'd be really difficult. It'd probably take several days.
Without knowing exactly where we are, getting in these little boats and trying to find our way to the continent seems foolhardy at best. If there's anything in that place that you found that can tell us where we are, give us some direction before we have the crew break their backs building more boats, might be good to know if we can use the boats and survive.
Might be our best shot.
It's also worth noting I built a signal fire down the beach, and there were sails on the horizon, so getting picked up may be a better option.
You guys can see that fire from where your camp is. It's going, but you likely will probably need to throw more wood on if you want it to last the night.
Yeah, I would ask Katrina if she could talk some of her buds on the crew into, like, as part of the watch, adding wood to that fire.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, and I'm gonna let whichever one of you has the highest target number for command, go ahead and roll that.
Not me.
My command's at 10.
Yeah. What about Katrina?
Do I have her character sheet? Let me see.
I think her personality and willpower, like,
Are wicked high.
Might
I
be
know they're
better
wicked.
than ours.
Better
I
than
know
ours,
they're. I
yeah.
know they're super high. Let me see if I have their.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have her character sheet anywhere.
She's the talker of the group.
Let's see.
Right?
Yeah.
Where's it at? Where's my scroll down.
I also think, Tidus, you have a great point, but if there's anything we meet up there that we need to get away from, it would just be nice to have, like, instead of waiting more time, hey, we've already gotten started on it, less time. If there's a way, like an information about like if we're too far away, we can have them stop building that, just add more to the signal fire, we're fine. But if we get up there and we're not started on anything, and that just adds more days that we're on this deserted island that, to be honest, me or you we've never heard about. No one's heard about this island. So there's a reason no one's seen it like on their way somewhere. So there is a chance that no one sees that signal fire either.
Fair point.
Yeah. Great idea on we need to know where we are first, but just maybe getting started, the idea of a boat. We have our supplies for a boat. Just going in that direction before we head up that mountain. And plus, I am so hurt right now. I need a day.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So I roll for Katrina. I got a 1 and a 2, so we're good.
Ooh,
thank you.
bonus
Dice. But so that was 3 successes. I'm gonna give you a point of momentum there. She sends 2 of the crew to go to the fire. Throughout the night, there are various watches. Katrina has set up guards amongst the crew. Are any of you going to join that kind of night watch, or are you all just going to sleep through the night?
I'm sleeping through the night for sure.
Okay.
I think if Zuri's sleeping, Fred is like a little nervous about both of them sleeping through the night. So she probably will join.
Okay.
Tidus would join the watch too.
Okay.
And Asim would join the watch as well.
Okay. So what I'm going to have each of you do is roll me an observation roll. It'll be a D2.
It's a D2, so I'm going to spend a fortune point since I only got 1 success.
Okay.
I got a nat 1.
You got a nat 1?
Ooh.
Hell yeah. There you
Yeah.
go. Congratulations.
2,
Beefy.
3, 4, 5, 6. We are back with 6 momentum.
Yep.
Cool. And then Tidus?
I got 1 success and a natural 20, so this dice is gone.
I love how you're just like, this guy is just gone. Did you hear it falling on the ground behind you?
Yeah.
Just getting shocked.
2 natural 20s in a row. Saving that
How
for
dare
D&D
it.
from now on.
Titus.
Right?
So I'm gonna dictate the order for this just because of how I want the Titus's thingy-majig, his
Crit fail.
his
Complication.
complication. There we go. That's the word.
Yeah.
Shit, man. Complication to go. So, and then it was a crit success for Fred, and then Awesome, you got 3, but it was because you used Fortune. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go Awesome. We're gonna go Awesome, or no, Tidus, Awesome, and then Fred will bring up the end there. Tidus, during your watch and your shift with the crew, you notice them, like those that are up. One of them pulls out a couple like chunks of wood that they look like in their free time have carved in a set of dice, and they've been playing that. Over time, you notice as well it's been a couple hours. The 2 who went out to go do the fire, while you did noticeably watch as the fire kind of does that and gets bigger, right, in the distance, they haven't come back.
And there's somebody else as well, or it was just me?
It's you, and there's you, and I'm like a hand, like a there's there was 11, now there's 9. So I'd say there's probably 1 or 2 out who are like just kind of hanging out. I mean, there's still 11, but there are 9 currently in camp.
Yeah, they should have been back by now. They should have been back by now.
Yeah, we heard you the first time.
Ah!
All right, well, they're your crewmates. Do you want to go look for them with me, or?
In the dark? I mean...
In the dark? Are you afraid of the dark?
I mean, no, but, like, it's dark. We want to go searching for them in the... Like, what if they hypothetically got eaten by something in the dark? Then are we really going to find them? Or do we want to, like, get into the same situation of them where we're wandering around in the dark, not knowing where we're going to go? I mean, we'll go with... you know what? I'll go with... You know what? I'll go with you. And he looks at the other...
I don't want you to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Okay? Or this is a desert island, you know, basically beach vacation. It's fine. You stay here, play dice.
I was losing anyway, so it's fine. I should probably be done. I'll come with you. We'll keep him here, so that way at least we have somebody watching the camp.
Maybe wake up the next watch as well.
He walks into one of the small little kind of huts that have been made, and kicks somebody and kicks one of them in the foot. And what? Get up! I gotta go look for people, I guess, in the dark. So we need an extra person to stay up and watch. I'm going with the guy going with the one who got our ship burnt and okay, here.
Heard that.
You were meant to and you hear
Stab this guy.
like a
I didn't say that.
Totally not audible.
He's like, his eyes just grow away. He's
Yeah.
like, what?
That's meta. That's
No.
character.
But another crewman comes out and kind of sits and like he's like, oh, we got dice, and like sits down and starts playing dice with this other guy, and the two of you start to head out into the
take a couple of torches.
yeah, grab a couple torches and start walking the beach down toward your giant fire that you've made. Slowly.
Point of order. They would have taken torches with them, right?
Yeah.
The two that went down.
Yeah, they would have taken torches.
So, I kind of want to, like, head that way, but cautiously and, looking for the torches.
Okay, go ahead and make an observation roll.
I'm scared of all my dice now. Okay, that's a 3 and a 12 observation. That's 2 successes.
2 successes. So, as you're making your way, you notice that you do see a set of footprints, or 2 sets of footprints in the sand. You see them going toward where the fire is, and then you see, as you're moving and kind of get closer to about the halfway point, you notice that there are a set coming back. You don't see the torches anywhere, but as you start to follow them back, you watch as they kind of continue to follow the footsteps that they took in, but then they start to curve toward the jungle. And where they curve, as you notice, is, and you're following with your torch, where that little opening, that inlet was that Zuri and Fred had found, that path that led into the island. Make a... What's your resolve?
Hold on, I know where this is.
It's right next to the that's in stress and harms.
Okay. 7.
7. All right, go ahead and make or roll against your resolve. So your target number would be 7.
Ooh.
And I'll do the same for your counterpart.
That's just 1 success.
You stare into this pathway, and as you do, for a moment, you can almost... It's the briefest of moments before you're shaken by the other guy. But you feel as if all sound has been taken. You are in this quiet space where this metaphorical and literal tunnel vision of what's in front of you as you stare down this path before it starts to curve up toward the mountain. You feel almost drawn to it before the other guy kind of shakes you. Oh, they're probably just exploring. They should be... We'll make sure that those on the other watch are noted. But we shouldn't go in there after them, not at night. We may get lost.
Now, let's not make the same mistake they did.
2 of you head back to camp. Awesome. As we transition to you. Your watch, relatively pretty easy. The one thing of note, as you're warned that, like, these parasailers haven't come back yet. Couple things to note. About halfway through the night, the noise of the jungle very much alive. Maybe about a few hundred feet from camp into the jungle, you hear the monkeys starting to howl and make noises and getting very, very active. The only reason I'm not going to actually do it verbally is because I don't want to destroy my microphone or hurt anybody who's watching or your guys' ears. Because, like, I was full on today. I was, like, taking a shower, getting ready, and I, like, was full on screaming in the shower, practicing. And then I was like, I can't do this live. That would hurt way too many people's ears. The cacophony of these creatures turns from, like, semi-aggressive, like passive-aggressive, to full-on aggressive, and then you just hear one shriek of what you could likely identify as a combination of fright and pain that almost echoes throughout the jungle. And in that moment where that scream comes out, it gets still and quiet. For not in like an eerie sense, but well, I guess in an eerie sense because but in the sense of like it's that momentary like something just died, and then the nightlife comes back, as if everything is like settling back into after this like ripple. Other than that, your watch goes on without a hitch. Perfectly fine, perfectly normal.
Okay. I'm going to note that noise, but since the camp is safe, I'm not going to do anything right now.
Perfect.
Except grip my spear tightly.
Perfect. And as you do that, eventually waking up Fred, going back to sleep. Fred, we move on to you. In the night, at this point, those sailors that are up are kind of drifting and nodding. Like, they're up, but it's like one of those where they're, like, just visibly tired from the days. Not only at sea, but some of them still haven't fully recovered from their fight with the conflict with the pirates. As you were sitting there, peering over the edge of the rescue craft or the escape craft barrier that was made. You can see glinting from firelight a set of eyes.
Yeah, I want to go see that monkey.
All right. As you begin to make your way forward, you watch as like the top of the head where the eyes are like start to duck, like quickly kind of duck back down behind the edge of the ship, like where you would see it, the rounded edge of the ship. You continue to make your way forward. Is there anything you're doing as you are approaching this creature?
I think. Do you know how when you're like trying to say hello to like a stray cat, you like start walking towards it and like getting low, and you're like, okay. And then when the cat like starts a little bit, you kind of slow down and like pause. That's like kind of the energy here.
I wish I could say that I've done that, but I have not. But okay.
You need to try.
I don't want.
All cats are friends.
That means I need to find stray
Exactly.
That means I need to find stray cats, and that means I need to wish for more stray cats, which I don't want to wish for.
We have
Alright.
so many. You can take
But
them.
no, I don't want them. No, they need homes. Go ahead and make a. Because these things are smart. They're like basically kind of human. I'll let you pick. I would say survival, but if you want to use one of your personality ones, you can.
My personality is not great, which is a sentence I've said before. So let me roll for survival.
Yeah,
here.
let's do survival, because survival is the closest thing to animal handling that we have skill wise, and I think that would work.
What happens if I got 1 on the number?
Like a natural one.
No, I got
like you
one
hit your
success.
target number. Target number is
Yeah,
a
I got
success.
1 success. Okay, so I have 2 successes.
Cool. With that, as you do, you stoop down and you're making these kind of very comforting noises. You glance over and there's some fruit left over, and you quickly kind of scoop that up and kind of use it as a mini offering. The eyes poke back over, and then this small hand kind of like reaches up and over and like grabs the fruit, starts munching on it, and then gradually builds up the courage. And this small little howler monkey, maybe like 1.5 feet tall, black fur with like little patches of white around like the face, emerges. His tail has these little rings to it, these little white rings to it as it goes up, emerges, and is just kind of like sitting there like eyeing you curiously.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of try and crouch beside it, with the knowledge that like this is still an animal and could still hurt me, even though right now I'm giving it fruit.
Okay. As you continue to feed it and continue to kind of establish a bond with it, it moves from like sitting on the top of the curve of the ship, the rowboat, to like moving down to the ground next to you. And then at some point, like it starts to like climb and like poke and prod at you as it's like now getting very comfortable with the space that it's in, and is like moving and shifting, kind of keeping up with you. At one point, you feel it like ruffling through your pocket and like trying to take something.
Respect, honestly, I get it.
And like it pulls away and has like a couple coins.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like looking at them, like biting them, trying to figure out what they are, realizing it's not food, so they like just kind of drop it. Do the thing where they like move around and like start looking in your hair. But because this monkey's very much in your space, very much vibing with you, and you formed somewhat of a relationship with them in these moments during your watch.
Awesome.
Doesn't seem. I guess what are your fullest intentions with this animal in these moments?
In this moment, or like big picture?
How can the little moments lead to your big picture? That would
Okay.
that would be my thing. Because like you have your whole watch. This it kind of happened toward the beginning. If your big picture is like this monkey is my homie, what are the foundational steps other than like just vibing with it right now that you'd be doing?
Yeah, so big picture, my goal is that this monkey will be my homie so that we can use it to help us get to the mountain eventually. I think that is my goal. And so the initial like bonding steps are definitely like very food based, which is like, oh, we have this little bit of fruit left over, and then she's like peeling at the skin a little bit, just like assuming that because it's a monkey, it probably will eat the pieces of the fruit that like the sailors and the rest of the group probably aren't as interested in. And then what do I have in my pockets? Do I have anything in my pockets? Yeah. I have from my history, it's a broken family heirloom, which is definitely made for making friends with monkeys. And so I think
as all broken family heirlooms are.
Family heirlooms are, sure. Yeah. But I think it's like the littlest thing in my pocket, because the other things I have are like the stuff that Zuri and I have kind of squirreled away. And so I think I kind of start showing it to the monkey, and it's like I don't know what it is exactly, maybe a piece of porcelain. It's kind of like reflective, kind of catching the starlight, and then I kind of try and like play with the monkey with it a little.
Okay. I'm gonna so it's a piece of porcelain. I'm gonna say it's a because when you second you said porcelain, I knew, like, I had a vision of what it could be.
Okay.
So we'll say that it's a piece of a broken porcelain mask.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so as you start to play with them, go ahead and give me another one more survival check to round it out and see how successful at like the whole like friendship bonding portion you are. This will also be a detail.
Okay.
I could be real mean. I could be real mean and spend doom, but I'm not going to.
Spend that fortune.
Well, I got 2 successes, and one of them is a nat 1, so 3 successes.
Oh, hell yeah, then. Yeah,
Nice.
you are able to, like, what I'll say is that one of the cool things that you can do with momentum, if I think is right, never mind. We're good. But no, you're able to successfully kind of bond. The monkey reluctantly goes back to the forest eventually, right? Like, as more of the crew members are starting to shift and move, you definitely get the vibe of like, hey, I don't want to be in this space anymore. There's more than just this person that's chilling and giving me food and hanging out and playing with this piece of thing that I can't eat. And it goes back to the forest. You can see a handful of other monkeys that are also in the treetops as it heads back and like climbs up, and then just kind of Batman poses from the treetops, keeping a watchful eye of you in particular.
Perfect. Yeah, we will return to those monkeys at a later point.
And we will. And as the dawn of the second day arises, your 2 crew members, as Tidus and Asim, the 2 of you, and even Fred, were aware of, like, 2 crew members have gone missing. They've not returned. And with that knowledge, and with a potential new friend, and a new day for the 5 of you, that's where we're going to call today's session.
4 more hours. Just let's. 4 more hours. We got stuff to do.
No. I wish. I'm sure. Danny, give me a thumbs up. No, I'm kidding. No, I've played those types of sessions. Man, by the time you get to like those long games are great, but by the time you get to like hour 5, you're like, why isn't this over? Hell yeah. Shit, what am I doing? Words. We're gonna go. Before, I don't know why we stopped. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us, following us along on our session this morning. We're gonna go quickly, or we're gonna go around the horn now for everybody to like actually tell who they are, what they do, what cool projects that they are working on, and all that stuff about them. We'll do same order that we did starting off with the wonderful Shelby and Zuri.
Yes. So again, on all social medias, you can find me at Wish Warlock. Nothing going on this week, so just come back the other Saturday. I don't know how time works. And have fun with us. You can also catch me at the Red Hare Inn, not next Friday, but the next Friday when we play Dust to Dust. Spooky little thing run by Taryn, creator of Umbral Oculus Dice. You guys should check it out. Her dice are creepy. Her storytelling is creepy. It's all just really, really creepy. You can also catch me on Whiskey Reacts, a podcast where we review our favorite forms of entertainment while drinking whiskey. And we have just recently dropped a Critical Role recap episode 21 through 24. I am devastated, so you should check out why. We're gonna play catch up in a little bit, and we should be able to drop another episode. Nope, I'm moving, so it's gonna be a minute. So just check out our socials as well. Risky Reacts on Instagram and Twitter. That's me.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna move down to Fred.
Awesome. When I am not befriending monkeys, I am primarily a writer, and this kind of stuff is new and fun to me. But you can find me if you want to read the stuff that I write over on Twitter at KHWalsh, WALSH_.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Moving on to... Oh, also, sorry, Katie. My bad. I said Fred, but then I didn't say your real life name. So I was like, the people are just going to be like, Fred. Let's look for Fred. But yeah.
Fred.
Next on to Awesome, the wonderful Andy.
What's up, everyone? Andrew J. Landy checking in here. I'm Duralath in the chat, so twitch.tv/Duralath is where you can find me once I'm off of hiatus from streaming. Beyond that, Twitter and Instagram at Andrew J. Landy. It's my real name. What we're working on. Vampire the Masquerade Port Saga Season 2 has dropped as of last Thursday. That's right. Season 2 Episode 1 is out. Episode 11 in our continuity there. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google, Spotify, anywhere. Just search Vampire the Masquerade Port Saga. My character is Dante Mendoza. Slight little spoiler, he's now the former Primogen of the Tremere clan. What happened to him? Well, you'll have to catch up with season 1 and then find out what happens in season 2. So again, every week episodes drop on Thursday. Check it out again wherever you get your podcasts. Again, Apple, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google, Spotify, anywhere. And beyond that, enjoy your Saturday and treat yourself to something great, because again, you, my friends, are great.
Oh yeah. Then our last player for today, Tidus, the wonderful Tristan.
Hey guys, I'm Tristan. You can find me at +1crafting on Instagram. Used to have Twitter, don't anymore. Used to have a TikTok, don't anymore. Just can't keep up with it. I do have an Etsy shop if you want to check out some of the stuff that I make. I don't have anything close at hand, but I make terrain for Dungeons and Dragons, TTRPGs, whatever game you like to play, I can make something to immerse your players. This is the only game that I'm currently playing, so join us 2 weeks from today to find out how much more shit Tidus can get into.
Oh yeah. And I am your GM here, Logan Hanley. You can find me over at the Red Hare Inn, where we do all sorts of D&D. We got the Ecrium Expeditions, which is our flagship 5e campaign set in the lands of Ecrium. And then we also have miniseries and one-shots. Currently, Dust to Dust, which Shelby plays in, which is bi-weekly on Fridays. And then this coming Monday, we have our second session of Halls of the Mad King. It'll be our second of 3 sessions, I believe, run by the wonderful Drew of Team Drew's Basement. Other than that, I do D&D homebrew and some stuff like that. So if you want to come hang out and, collaborate or just like work on your own stuff while you listen to me start working for 5 minutes and then completely just not do any work because I'm talking about something and hyperfixate on that, come join us. Yeah, Red Hare Inn on all the socials, including TikTok, even though I don't actually post anything on TikTok. Yeah, find us there. Other than that, we got some sponsor info for all of you from the wonderful people that help support the Initiative Order. Session Zero Clothing, which is D&D inspired streetwear. Use the code ORDER, all capital letters. I was about to say all one word, and then I realized order is a one. Yeah. At checkout for 15% off your order. Additionally, we have Norse Foundry, who creates artisan dice. I have one of my favorite sets is a Bloodstone set by them. Use the code TIO, all caps, 15 at checkout for 15% off. Thirdly, we have Mithril Armory. They're the makers of the Tin D20 and sketch dice, which are cool ways for you to kind of like personalize your own dice, as well as like actually build your own D20, which is really fun. Use the code INITIATIVE, all capitals, for 10% off at their web store. And then finally, Taryn Hackett, the Eldritch Queen crafter of dice under the moniker of Umbral Oculus Dice. She brings handmade artisanal dice from beyond the veil for you to use, and here are just some of the options that you can have. They're really beautifully made and well crafted. Use the code INITIATIVE, all capitals, for 10% off a full set of dice in her store. I would really recommend them if you're going to play a 2d20 system, as whenever I roll them, because she's cursed my dice because she plays an Ecrium. So whenever I play Conan, I'm very happy because her dice roll low, but then they roll low when I play D&D, so that's not good. But beautiful dice, they're all handmade, wonderful creator to support. Other than that, that's our session for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Saturday, September 24th for our 3rd session, as the party tries to figure out what happened to 2 of their crew, or just don't care, continue to build their means of escape off this island, and whatever adventure awaits them. Until next time, enjoy your Saturday, enjoy your weekend, happiest of adventures, and stay safe out there, guys. Bye.
Hey.